Hey guys, it's M.A.D.D.Y. I don't know, but today is actually a surprising one. I have watched Anthony Padilla for a long time now, since Smosh, I catch up on his little interviews that he does. He did one with Markiplier, he did one with Jacksepticeye, he did one with trans women, and now trans men. If you guys don't know, and if it's not clear about my shirt, I identify as trans man. That means I was once a girl, but now I would love to be considered a boy. I'm currently on a diet and exercise regimen so I can get these honkers off of me. So I can look more masculine. I already have hairy arms, so that's a check. Hairy legs, that's a check. Bits, check. I don't plan on lowering my voice. I might down the road, but that takes a lot of testosterone, and I don't think I'm emotionally ready for that, because I'm already an emotional person, and I don't know what the testosterone will do to me, because I've never done this before, and I've always looked at people who did do it, and their experience with testosterone. People say it's good, people say it's bad. It's really all a mix of reviews, and some people say only take this certain amount and then you're done. Some people still take testosterone to this day, and I already take insulin every day, and putting another needle in my belly or in my arm or wherever you would put the insulin in is I can only handle it with one needle. I don't need any more. Plus there's syringes and not just little tiny needles that are convenient, right? So I still have to think about that, but until then, I don't need to make a decision on that right now. The decision I did make was lose weight so I can get these honkers off me. Because, I don't know, I'll answer questions. I'll pause the video and answer questions when he asks the trans men, and then I'll like to hear what the trans men say. But I would like to tell you guys my trans story in just a little bit, so you get to know about me, right? So, with that being said, let's get into this.
I'm Anthony Padilla, and I'm curious. What would you do if you realized the label you were assigned at birth falsely predetermined every element of a life you could never see yourself living? I spent today with trans men who came to that very conclusion. We'll uncover the truth about giving birth as a teen mother and then later transitioning to a father and how that impacts a child. And from someone who's presented as a woman and a man, a deeply polarizing topic of newly found male privilege. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Jesse.
Hi.
Ty.
Anthony.
And this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/Padilla because sometimes existing is exhausting. Now, can you define what transgender means?
It's anyone.
It's already 50 seconds into the video. For me, transgender is anyone who is born a specific gender, but either later down in life or maybe early in life decide that the gender they assign to isn't the one they feel is correct. So, for example, in my case, when I was 2, according to my mother, I would not put on a dress to save my life. And I will protest to that. So, this gender assigned to me was female, but all through my life I've been nothing but male as much as I can, and now I'm fully embracing it. Let's see what these trans men have to say what transgender means. But that's basically the idea of being assigned a gender, but learning throughout your life, either early on or later on, that's not the one you're assigned to.
Who identifies as a gender that's different than what was assigned to them at birth.
It feels like you were born in the wrong skin suit. Everything on the inside feels right.
True.
It's just the outside.
Can you define what trans man is?
We are men who were assigned female at birth, and transition to male.
Do you remember
Yep.
the moment when you first had some kind of realization, like this doesn't feel right?
Fierce experiences. That's a toughie. Because when like I said, when I was a kid, I would not put on a dress or a skirt to save my life, but I think my first experience that I can remember was when I was in elementary school, and I would be the only girl at that point, that would play with the boys with boy toys like trucks and superheroes and stuff like that, and with like baseball and sports and monster trucks. And I wouldn't be playing Barbies or make-believe houses with the other girls. I would just be with the boys, and I always thought that was weird for me. But when I first said, I think this is weird for me, was in high school. That's when I was like, I don't want to be considered a tomboy, because a tomboy is just basically a girl who likes boy stuff, and I was always considered a tomboy since elementary school, and that's all I ever was. And until I learned about transgender and what it means to be transgender, that's what I decided.
Oh yeah, Anthony.
Oh, it's getting deep when they say my name.
Here it is. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew something was fucked up. I was always referred to as a tomboy as a little kid, so I thought I was a type of boy. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, you get it. Yeah, in my mind, a tomboy was a boy that was a girl.
I was raised super religious, and mom would sit us on the bathroom counter every Sunday and get us ready for church. And as soon as she started curling my hair and putting bows in and dress, I would just bawl my eyes out. And I was 4 years old. I was feeling no, I'm a boy, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And then they're putting a dress on me. That's the thing that I'm identifying as wrong. As I got older and my body was maturing, then it became this deeper thing. Physically, the shapes and the skin and everything feels wrong, because now I can identify that that's what that is. And I didn't even know the word transgender until I was an adult. I didn't even know that existed. I thought I was the only person in the world. And I remember literally crying in my pillow at night. So I would beg God, please, just tomorrow I'll wake up and I'm a boy.
The 6th or 7th grade. Our teacher comes in and says, hey everyone, we're gonna learn about puberty today. All the guys stay here and all the girls are gonna leave and go to another room. So I stayed there. I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's hear about, whatever this puberty thing is about. She said, hey, what are you still doing here? You should have been gone with all the other girls. I ended up going to the room with the girls. We watched some, cheesy 90s video about what happens, when females have puberty and all that. Honestly, my first thought was, this is terrible.
this is terrible. This is a terrible thing. You know what? It's not even real. It's not even real. This type of thing does not happen.
Absolutely. I thought everyone was just making stuff up. I was in such disbelief. And I remember even making a comment to my friend ha, y'all are gonna have periods. There was such a disconnect between, again, how people viewed me versus how I viewed myself.
In school, they would have us line up in a boys' line and a girls' line to go to the bathroom. I refused to line up with the girls. And eventually it got to the point where this was an everyday thing, and my parents had to have a talk with me. It was cute, but it's time to be real. I am a girl, and I have to function like one. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, well, I have a crush on one of my friends who's a girl, but boys date girls, so what's going on there? Me not realizing the weight of the fact that I had just came out. So I'm just like, no, never mind. I had no idea how bad all this stuff was that I was feeling. It was tough. I mean, it definitely took a toll on me. I had a lot of anxiety issues that manifested in different ways. Around the time that I started puberty, I developed facial tics. I think it was just generalized anxiety from all that, suppressing everything, and then having that the change of my body confirming that I don't have any choice in this situation. I'm stuck in this body, in this role, and it's gonna happen to me this way whether I want it to or not.
What do you think were some of the toughest parts about puberty and having to really face throughout that time?
For me, like, I still have menstrual cycles. Like I said, I don't have testosterone in my veins, so I can't stop having periods. But unlike these guys, like, I think I can relate more to maybe Jesse in this instance, but like when I was younger, I just, like I said, I accepted that I was just a girl who likes boy stuff, and no one really told me any different. And my mom was super supportive about that, just letting me wearing the darkest clothes, you know, geeking about, you know, Spider-Man with Legos and all that stuff, you know, like, just, she liked me being me, and she didn't have to force me into anything. But the real most uncomfortable thing that she forced me to do, that I had to do, was on her wedding day. I had to wear this ridiculous, most itchiest blue dress I've ever seen and wear in my entire life. And it was just, I don't like dresses. I don't like it. I just don't like it. But like, yeah, that's how I feel. But like, when I was like doing puberty, and like kind of what the other guy was saying, like, they were separating us into like 2 different rooms. The boys learned about their anatomy, the girls learned about theirs. I was with the girls, obviously, at that time, because at that time I didn't know what transgender was. I knew that I was a girl who liked boy stuff, and I was fine with that at that time. So I just have to roll along with puberty and learn what puberty is, how it affects me, and what do I need to do in my regular day-to-day life, and what do I need to expect from it. And ever since then, you know, I still have pads in the bathroom for not only me, myself, Mom, and Nora, and pretty soon Carmen, because she's at that age pretty soon. Like we all have different pads, and you know, they're in like they're separate little boxes, and you know, so like, because I'm a heavy flower, so, and I had to learn what heavy flow even means when I was in school, and my mom helped a lot. And you know, my sister's really good at tampons, you know, the little thing that goes up into it instead of just a pad. I like pads. They're easy for me. You know, they're not too complex. But it was like, after I learned what transgender meant, I looked up like what it would meant for my body, physically and chemically, and taking the tea, and it'll make your voice deep. It'll make you stop having periods, and you won't have any babies anymore. You'll grow more hair in places. You'll be like a normal man. You'll just have more testosterone in your body, and you'll basically go through puberty again, but this time for a male. And like I said, I'm not sure if I'm emotionally ready for that right now. So I'm comfortable whenever I do have my period, I go to the women's restroom and use my pads in there, because that's the only place I can use pads. Like, I recently, this year alone, I've been more comfortable, or I've been trying to get more comfortable walking into a men's restroom without being judged or being looked at. But I know I'm gonna get looked at, so I try to hunch over, you know, close my chest so it looks like I'm a boy. And I look down and I go to the restroom. I ignore the stalls. And if I have to pee, I pee in the stalls and not the weird standing up things that y'all have for boys. But yeah, I just do this, and I just go through and I pee or poop or do whatever. I'm getting more used to doing that if they don't have an all-gender bathroom. If they do have an all-gender bathroom, great, I can use that. But some places around here especially don't have an all-gender bathroom. Like, some places still have either a men's or a women's. It's never all-gender bathroom, and I really hate that, because that inconveniences me all the time. But when it comes to puberty, I kind of said, okay, so I have to live with that. Cool. And now that I'm transitioning, I have to think of if I'm going to take the T or not, because that's a big decision to make. So, that's just me. Let's hear what the guys have to say.
The periods are an obvious one because that's like every month, and it's like a horror movie. It's blood, and it's you gotta deal with it.
A lot of
You
it.
can't write this stuff. What's the worst way to remind someone of what's going on down there? Just flood it with blood. Send it off.
Puberty hit, and that was probably one of the hardest times of my entire life. Even when I like got my period, I didn't tell one soul, because to me it literally felt like the worst punishment God could have given me.
Like, did you try to justify why God was doing this to you?
Yeah, I think I thought like, oh, because I had crushes on girls and stuff. I was raised so Catholic. Like, we went to these like churches where you gave confession on stage in front of people. I would like remember thinking like, oh my God, hell's gonna hurt.
What kind of thoughts went through your head when you realized that you liked girls and you were not going to be, at least the sexuality, not what people expected you to be?
I think at the time, I was scared. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be out and open at school. I don't know if I can be out and open with my parents. It's just this idea of like how much more complicated my life is gonna get by like accepting this and like actually living it. I feel like there were a lot of cards against me with actually like being able to live in my truth with that. First thing being my religion, you know, super Catholic. There was my culture, where being an immigrant from sort of like an Afro-European background, like that was just not accepted.
And that is the background that your parents came from. That is the culture that your parents were taught was the way that the world is.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously living with them, that bleeds into my own views, my own thoughts. So I'm thinking, you know, this is the last thing I need to be.
When did you first hear about the term trans?
Okay, this is a nice ad. Jesus Christ. Like I said, my first, the word trans was loosely out there. I didn't really know what it means, but until one of my classmates transitioned from male to female is when I really learned what that statement meant. And just that, just her transitioning like that from male to female was revolutionary, and it took literally like the whole like junior senior year for her to transition like that. You know, like she can't get periods like I do, but you know, she has more function like a female would, you know. And I asked her one day, like, I thought you were a boy, and she's like, no, I transitioned into a girl. And I was like, you can change your gender? And she's like, yeah, you don't have to change it physically, but that's what I did. You can also just change it on your birth certificate or even on your ID card when you drive and stuff like that. You don't have to commit to a gender you don't want to. So for me, that was like, so all this time I could actually become a real boy and no one told me? No one told me I could be a real boy? Everyone just looks at me crazy for being a tomboy of a girl who likes boy stuff? This is amazing. And then from that senior year on, it was he, him. The easy person to come out to as trans was my mom, because she kind of knew ever since I was little that I was a little different than the other girls. And the hardest one to tell was my grandparents, who are super religious and Catholic, and they still don't acknowledge that I am a boy and no longer a girl. They still call me Missy and the oldest granddaughter, not the oldest grandson. But all my other family has accepted it, you know. My Uncle Joe has not accepted it, but I'm fine with that, you know. There's only 3 people in my life that I know that don't accept me as he, him, and that hurts. but, you know, it's who I am. And they're gonna have to get used to it.
I started making all these gay friends and I started meeting trans people. And that's when I first started understanding like all those things that I've been told my whole life of like, oh, this is what a trans person is, you know, the word tranny and like how they're portrayed in movies and everything. I was like, oh my God, that is not at all what it is. And what these people are telling me is exactly what I feel. So that was the first moment that I was like, whoa.
I was in high school. I came to terms with myself that I liked girls. I was looking up what LGBT stands for because I was like, I don't really feel like an L, you know. I never called myself a lesbian because I didn't feel like a girl that liked other girls. I would always just say I like girls. And I found transgender. I had no idea what it was. So I got on YouTube, as one does, and I found trans men. Their voices dropping, they're getting hairy, they're getting beards, they're getting muscles, and I was like, closed the laptop, pushed away, you know, terrified because it struck something within me.
I want to be hairy. I want to be muscular.
I want the hairiest butt.
I go to therapy, a gender therapist specifically. You know, I've been having these issues. I'm not comfortable in my body. I don't feel comfortable being called a lesbian. She literally like looks at me and says like, you have every single factor of having dysphoria. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no. And she's like, yes.
Oh.
Pretty much after that session, I started doing research. Reddit.com, you know, where everything is super...
Very accurate information. Just second to urbandictionary.com.
I was like, okay, a licensed professional has told me this. I've always sort of known all of this, but repressed it. So now's the time to live my life.
2 years when I found out that transition was an option and something that existed when I was 14, up until 16, I was aware, but suppressing it, trying my best to get around it and see what I could do to be happy as a girl, be a masculine woman. When we moved away in high school, I started completely dressing as a guy, short hair, guy's clothes only, like very much presenting masculine to where everyone thought I was a guy, and I felt great. I was the happiest that I ever was when I was there. As I came to terms with being trans, all of those things started to make sense. Once you just allow yourself to feel how you actually feel, there's just so much peace.
Was it more difficult to come out to yourself or to others?
Definitely others.
Definitely
By the
others.
time I like finally accepted this, I was so ready. It was like I couldn't wait one more day. I felt this like insane amount of pride in who I was. I came out in a kind of an interesting way because I just decided I wasn't going to tell anybody. I was just going to do it on my own. I just posted it on Instagram. And I mean, within 20 minutes, my phone started ringing. Every sibling, they were not happy. It was like, why didn't you tell us? How did I have to find out this way? And I was like, it wasn't for you, it was for me. And this is exactly why I did it.
Coming out to my parents was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I crafted this text message up for a couple weeks, was thinking, okay, when I come out to them, I'm gonna get disowned. I'm gonna have to find housing somewhere else. Like, I drove short while away to this park where I felt like 100% safe. And I sent this long text message. I had my car packed up with every single belonging I ever owned.
You were prepared to never have to go back if they never wanted to see you again.
Yeah, unfortunately. After a grueling 10 minutes of waiting to see their response.
Which felt like an eternity.
Literally, they responded back to me and they said, you know, hey, we may not understand this, but we love you. Let's talk when we get home. And I was like, oh, I'm going home today.
The first person I came out to was my mom on accident.
How does
On
that happen?
accident.
But we're in the car and somehow the conversation came up about trans people. And I said, well, I've been watching these guys on YouTube and it's amazing. They go on testosterone, they look great, they have muscles, they have a deep voice, and it happens so quickly, and you'd never know. And she's like, oh, is that what you want to do? And I was like, oh my God. Wait, what? And I was like, you know, yeah, I think I do.
Like, for me, when I came out to my mom, I first wanted to be considered they, them, because I didn't really know what transgender was until I, like he said, I fully researched it on YouTube and stuff. But I was like, no, I should just come out to her as like just he, I should just become a he. I just did. And then we went to this nice cafe in Berkeley called Brazil Cafe. I don't know what it really is called. It's like something Witchin something. It's right in between, like, it's like right underneath like a BART underpass. I don't really remember where it was, but it's like, we call it the Brazil Cafe. And when I tell my mom that, like, oh yeah, we can get some really good, you know, sandwiches there. So, you know, that's where we go. But anyway, I told her then, and it was just me and her, you know, and I just came home from school, and she wanted to just have a lunch with me. It was like Friday. My sisters were at my grandma Rita's house, who lives not far from here, but like, you know, in a public place, of all places, I wanted to do this. I'm like, I'm gonna have to tell her at some point, so it might as well be now. So I told her, I don't feel like a girl anymore. I more feel like a boy, and I would like to be called your son. And she was okay with it, and it was the best day of my life. It was the best day of my life. The transitioning process is the next point. I'm in the midst of my transitioning process. I'm trying to eat healthier so I can lose weight, so I can get these honkers off, and then I'll think about tea. But right now, all my worry is school, work whenever I get it, exercising so I can lose weight, and you guys. And that's all I want to worry about right now. I don't want to worry about tea until I get these honkers off. Because for me, like, I always been dressing up like a boy since as long as I can remember. And like, when I was a kid, people would misgender me as a boy, and then my mom or someone else would have to correct them and say, no, he's a girl, or, well, she is a girl. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm a girl. And that always like kind of bothered me. And now that I have these big honkers and I'm so fat, I can't really, you know, wear clothing that's like, I can't find a binder that's flat chested for me that I can wear outside, and I can like wear any type of clothing I want without saying like, female, you have boobies, you female, you know. So like, it's hard for me. So that's why I'm trying to find a good binder until I get my surgery, but I can't because I'm too over fat and I'm overweight. So, you know, it's really hard for me. But let's see what the guys had to say.
What does transitioning entail?
It used to be a lot more methodical. You go on T for a year, top surgery. You continue T, and then maybe somewhere down the line, 10 years in, bottom surgery. Now, it's not so much like that. A lot of people are doing their own thing. For me, it's been almost 10 years of testosterone. I haven't had any surgeries yet, but I want surgeries. A lot of people think transition as a whole, the entire process is go to the doctor's office.
Yeah. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Snip, snap. You have no idea the toll. And then you come out and a completely different region. But the reason that people would want to wait, there's a lot of reasons, I think. For me, a lot of it has to do with wanting to be in the right spot in my life. Surgery takes a big toll. You're going to be down for a while. Takes a lot of money, time, research. It's a big life decision.
Commitment.
How often do you get asked about surgery?
All the time, especially if it's someone I haven't seen in a while. And they're like, oh, Jesse, I saw you transition. Are you getting bottom surgery? People literally do that. I'll kind of laugh it off and I'll be like, you know, you really shouldn't say that to trans people, but no, I'm not. What if I just walked up to cis people and started asking about their genitalia? Like, that doesn't happen.
When some people hear that people don't feel like the gender that they were assigned at birth, they say, oh, just dress differently, just act differently. Like, why go through the process of changing your body as well?
You know, there are different types of dysphoria. The social dysphoria of people believing I'm a woman and not recognizing me as a man. But I also have physical dysphoria with my own body and feeling that I don't want boobs.
Yeah. What were some of the
don't.
biggest
I
things that
don't.
really did make you realize, oh yeah, this is who I am, this is who I've always been?
Once I was on T, that first year, I was probably the happiest I've ever been. Just seeing myself change in all the ways that I had hoped that I would. It's like taking off a mask and seeing yourself for the first time.
Voice. It was like one of the most affirming things ever. Facial hair, huge one. And starting to see like some muscle tone and stuff. And like even in my neck and my face, I was like, It was just like the best feeling in the world. I think I was feeling what most people feel every single day for the first time.
Is that the hormones going in your legs?
Yes, it is. I came out to my parents, and then like, I don't know, like a month after, I started hormones.
Your parents were like, whoa,
Yeah,
whiplash.
I mean, they were like,
we're going!
there was a lot of apprehension on their end.
Yeah.
Because when I had come out to them, they didn't even know I was queer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you had to
so-
come out as straight, though.
Yeah, well, one at a time.
What were some of the most unexpected side effects of transition?
The butt hair.
The butt hair. Well, I have still not embraced my butt hair.
It's too itchy if I try to shave it, so what's the point of denying it? It's just like, you gotta accept yourself.
You're right. I think I'm just gonna have to accept it.
The horniness is so different. Like, as crazy as that sounds, like, I do see why, like, there's that, like, classic thing that, like, all, like, men think about sex 100 times a day. Because before testosterone, I did not.
How many more times a day do you think about sex than you did when you were a woman?
Probably like 100 times more.
100 times more?
Yeah, like,
100
I think about it
times
all the time.
more?
I probably maybe once a day, maybe.
Mm.
And now it's like literally all the time. I still treat women with the utmost respect, and I would never hurt a woman.
Wait, you
or-
could be horny and treat people with respect at the
know.
same time?
Right? That's what I'm
my
saying.
God.
I'm experiencing every single thing they experience, and I still am a great guy. I got teased so bad in middle school, called like and all these lesbian slurs, when I was so scared for that to happen again that like I got a boyfriend. And I like did everything I was supposed to do. I dressed feminine, and I was like, I'm not dealing with that. And that was another thing. I like remember my sisters being like, why don't you have sex with your boyfriend? And being like, oh, like, so I did that thinking that that was gonna help like show I'm straight and cis and all these things. And then I got pregnant. If puberty felt wrong, pregnancy was puberty on steroids. It wasn't until after I gave birth that like then it really started hitting me why that was so miserable for me. I felt like I was dying. Like I remember like my sister had been pregnant really close to me, and she was like loving it, and I was like, I do not feel that.
Do you think that part of the reason that your sisters were able to enjoy it was because it felt like, you know, part of the process to motherhood, to
Yes.
womanhood?
And if I felt so the opposite way, of course that felt so wrong for me. Like if you got any man and they were pregnant, they would feel so weird.
How has seeing your journey shaped your child's perspective of gender and societal norms?
As young as a baby, I started doing gender neutral parenting. The problem with that was that they were raised in a split home, and they had so many family members that everyone else would undo what I was doing. They would come home from like their other parents' house with like Barbies and pink dresses and all these things. So then I had to almost step back a little bit and be like, I don't want to seem like the parent that's then trying to take these things from you. So by the time I came out as trans, they were very like not shocked, and it wasn't this like, oh my God, my parents going from a mom to a dad. They were kind of like, yeah, you've always been masculine. You've always been, I thought maybe non-binary or whatever it is. So this actually makes sense.
Has your parenting style evolved with your gender? Mother versus father? Like, is there a different way that you parent?
Maybe if someone was watching it from the outside, maybe they would see subtle differences.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've always felt like this brain was my brain. And I've asked Arlo this. I was like, did you notice a difference? And Arlo was like, no, you're exactly the same.
Right.
I've asked Arlo too. I've asked like,
So
do you ever miss having a mom? And like now you have two dads. Not at all. You're the same to me. Like you're the same parent. You're the same person. Your outside just matches your inside.
Do you feel like you missed out on your childhood as a boy?
Probably, yeah. If I have to be really honest, yeah. Like, not in the, like, I mean, that's a good way to explain this. Like I said, I was always considered a tomboy, and I was kind of not only made fun because I was bigger than the other kids, literally and physically. I mean, same thing, but like I also got, you know, mistreated by some girls in my class that bullied me for liking some boy stuff. And, you know, one of my classmates, who was a girl, tried to force me into playing Barbies with her one time at Free Choice, and I did not want to. And I told her I didn't want to. I just want to play with the blocks. Let me play with my box. You go play with your Barbies, okay? I don't want to play with Barbie. And, like, I feel like because I loved sports and I loved baseball when I was a kid, but because I wasn't in the physical shape to, and I guess because I didn't like outright said it to my dad that I loved baseball. I mean, he kind of knew that I loved baseball. I liked going to, like, A's games and Giants games because those were the only baseball games I could see, you know, and then I went to get a lot of more, I didn't went to Yankee games, but I watched more Yankee games when I was over in New York, and I followed the Yankees more than I did when I was a kid. But I knew when I was a kid I wanted to try baseball, but there weren't any little leagues for girls, you know, there weren't little leagues for all genders, you know, like the league for girls was for softball, and I didn't want to play softball. I want to play baseball. So Dad taught me how to play catch on his own time from time to time, and now I know how to catch a ball and throw a ball. I have a pretty mean arm when I get it, you know. I haven't thrown a ball in a long time, but you know, I can. It's still there. It's just muscle memory. But like, I feel like if I was born a boy, I could have gone into the little leagues, and I could have gone to middle school playing baseball, and I could have gone to high school playing baseball, and who knows, I could have gone to college playing baseball like my cousin Gio does, you know, and I could have been the next New York Yankee. I could have been the next Aaron Rodgers, but, you know, I guess because I was a assigned girl, and there wasn't really much chances for girls to play baseball, and when I was in high school, I learned of A League of Their Own, the movie, and then I researched it, and like there were actual female baseball players, girls who played in baseball, who didn't play softball, who played just baseball, you know? So I was amazed by that movie. That was like my favorite movie at the time. And now A League of Their Own has their own movies, like TV series. I binged that with my mom, and I loved it because not only did it like branched out to like girls playing baseball, it branched out of girls liking girls and transgendered men and women. And it was like, it was beautiful. Like back then, even then, there were people like me just trying to go through the day-to-day life, and the criticism they must have had back then, and how it's like more cool now, but back then it was like, no, you were born in this box, stay in it. But I like how my mom wasn't like, you like boy stuff? Okay. You want another Spider-Man toy? Go get it. Go get it. You want more Legos? Okay, go get it. She wasn't forcing me to play with the Barbies or the baby dolls or even getting me girly Lego toys. Like, she knew that I liked something and stick to it. And that's the best thing that I love my mom for. Because she knew me. Like, she literally knew me to a T. And, like, I bet you if I was born a boy, I would have been like a baseball star. Who knew? I don't know, but that's the thing I constantly like think about. So
Definitely. You already feel like you go through a second puberty because of the hormones, 100%. Like, I deal with everything like a 13, 14.
Your voice started cracking?
You name it,
Yeah.
it's there.
We heard a lot about the butt hair.
I didn't get that, but like...
Lucky you!
I like didn't get very hairy. Like, some of my friends have like beards, and I'm like, this is the most I can grow. A lot of people would be like, oh, you're so like immature, you act young, or like whatever, and it's like, I don't even care when people say that to me. It's like, because I'm finally getting to do things that like I never got to do.
How important is it to you to be passable, for other people to see you as a man without you having to even say anything?
okay, when I get to this point and when I get these knockers off, I'm probably gonna feel like high heaven, you know. And whenever I do get the tea, I'm like, right now, the reason why I'm keep bringing up the tea is because I'm just scared of taking the tea, because I know what can happen, and some people can. It's like once you go, it's non-reversible, you know. So, like, I'm comfortable being called he, him, but I don't know if I'm biologically ready to be he, him. I'm physically, I want these things to come off. I really don't care if I have a penis or not. Maybe down the line. But, like, right now, all I want is to pass as a man. I want to wear my suit that I wore to prom that I had to return, but the suit I wear for interviews, and to special events. I want to wear it without these knockers in my way. I want to wear every type of suit I want without these knockers in the way. I just don't want these I don't want them. Like, I really don't. Like, you guys don't know. Like, imagine having something attached to you your whole damn life and not wanting it and wanting them gone so badly, but you can't because something's interfering it. With me, it's my weight. I need to lose weight in order to get these off. So, like, once I get these off, I feel like I'm a new person. Like, I really feel like once I get out of that operating room, I will feel like a new person. And I'm, like, excited for that, actually. You know, I'm excited for the day when I can go in my room, put a suit on without these knockers here, and just look at myself in the mirror and said, "Hi, Maddie. It's good to finally meet you." You know, just that, "Hi, you're me. This is us." Like, it's like, you know, it's gonna be like the best thing ever.
The parts of passing that I didn't experience when I was younger, you know, to be able to have that now, people using, you know, he, him pronouns, people calling me sir or bro.
Bro.
That means the
Bruh.
world.
Bruh.
Is it just as much a mental transition as it could be a physical one?
Everything on the inside feels exactly the same.
So this meat bag was wrong.
Yeah. It's a skin suit.
True.
Yeah, I always call it a skin suit because for me, I remember growing up and feeling like literally like I was in a bad costume.
Yeah.
Like a tight, wrong, ill-fitting, hot, uncomfortable, miserable costume.
What's been the most difficult part about transitioning to a man? You could.
I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot easier than being a woman, so I don't have a lot of complaints. Male privilege is real.
It's real?
It's real and I've got it.
It's real. Male privilege is f***ing real. Confirmed.
Male privilege is real.
Is it real?
Men and women treat me better now. People respect my thoughts more. That's sad.
It's kind of
Sad.
fucked up.
It is very
Very
Nobody like
fucked up.
sexualizes me anymore. Or even when I was a lesbian, it was so many straight men being like, "Oh, lesbians are hot." I also don't feel as like scared walking alone. Even how like, let's say I'm in a group at a party, I think other men will like direct questions and things towards me instead of like the girls next to me. Pretty much everything that I saw when I was a female presenting person and was like, "Hey, that's not fair." I'm seeing now from the other side.
Do you have any kind of averse reaction when someone uses your dead name?
Okay, I don't have a dead name. That's the thing. Because Madison is both a female and male name. Madison Bumgarner, who was I don't know if he's still a pitcher, but he was a pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. And his name was Madison, spelled the exact same way I spell my name. And there's a bunch of Madison girls, like that dumb girl from She-Hulk, but she spells it weird and wrong. M-A-D-D-I-S-O-N, right? And I love my name. I love the name Madison, and I love the name Maddie. M-A-D-D-Y. M to the A-D-D-D-Y, you know? Like, I love my name. I don't want to change my name, because if I change my name, it would be a weird thing. Like, people already call me Maddie on the regular. So it's just like, if I hear Madison, I'm in trouble, or my mom's calling me, or people who knew me from long ago still call me Madison, you know? When I go to Washington, which is an old elementary school of mine, I get called Madison sometimes, and that's fine with me. But when people say she, her, and ma'am to me, especially on the phone, it irritates me. And sometimes I notice it from my parents mostly. My siblings, God rest their souls, are perfect when it comes to my gender, but sometimes my dad and mom will slip on her and she, but like they would catch themselves, like, "Tell Mary that his dinner is ready." You know, they would be right on the dot. But people who just met me will think only by my physical appearances with these knockers. Like, I keep going back to my knockers, but like, that's the thing, like, people don't look at you and say, "Oh, you're obviously a man. You dress like a boy. You dress like a guy." you have freaking, you can't see it, but I'm wearing like basketball shorts. I'm on a freaking Spider-Man bed, for God's sakes. But, you know, because of these honkers, no one sees you as a man or sees me as a man. They see me as a overweight girl who likes muscular, mature things, you know? Like the first time I stepped into the, what's it called? I can't remember the suit company that I went to get my interview suit, and when I rent my prom suit, is like the guy had to measure around my breast because my chest is not here, it's here. So they had to go around my chest, and I was like so uncomfortable, like, this is weird. I'm being measured for a suit. Like, it was like the best day of my life, but like the weirdest day of my life. And like my mom quickly saying, okay, here's your daughter's suit. Like, no, here's my son's suit. That was like the best. Like, whenever, like, I'm gonna cry. Whenever, like, my mom steps up for me, for my gender, it's beautiful. And I'm having the courage to do it myself. Like I'm saying, on phone calls, I'm getting there, but it's in person where I'm doing like, no, I'm a boy, I'm a man. Call me he, him, sir. No, ma'am. And then I'm trying to be more confident on the telephone. So, you know, like when I hear she, I just like, I kind of cringe, basically. I cringe and like, nope, try again. But yeah.
My dead name was the name that I had before transition. So I chose my name when I transitioned and went and legally changed it. But the name that I was given at birth by my parents is my dead name. I think that for me, I see my entire life leading up to my transition associated with that name. To hear it does definitely bring up feelings of the anxiety and the suppression that I felt pretending to be a different person. So it takes me back to that space in my mind, and it can be pretty stressful.
How important are pronouns to you?
Pronouns
Very
are
important.
everything. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if you don't refer to me as he, him, like, I'll call you out. You know, because why are you doing that? I've
getting
kind
better
of
to
been
call
living a
people
stealth
out.
life. So like stealth is when you don't like openly tell people, I guess, that you're trans. I mean, we're on this video.
Is there anything you want to say to anyone watching who is finding out for the very first time today that knows you in person?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's family out there. Bonjour, comment ça va?
Do you ever get any kind of backlash for your identity?
Like I said, the only like real backlash I got was from my grandparents and my one uncle of not accepting me, but like as of like actual criticism and bullying, it was just not for transgendering, it was just me liking boy stuff when I was little, you know, being bullied for liking boy stuff and just being bullied as being overweight in general. You know, like I got bullied really hard in 5th grade by this jerk kid named Alvin because he thought I was a big hairy monkey. Because I was 1 year older than the other kids, and I was growing hair more often on my legs and my arms, and I was overweight, and he was overweight. So I was like, I don't know why he was calling me monkey when he was the one that was probably even bigger than I was. But you know, he still called me fat and stuff like that. But I also got bullied for playing with different types of toys, you know. I remember this one substitute when I was, I think, in the 3rd grade. The substitute saw me playing with the other boys with like the blocks and stuff. She told me to go to the girls and play dolls, and I said, no, I want to play box, leave me alone. So yeah, it's just, that's the only like really criticism that I got, but not by being transgender, at least not in like I get stares when I enter the boys or the men's restroom, and then my grandparents and my uncle not respecting my pronouns. But other than that, it's just when I was a kid and liking boy stuff when I was a girl. That's about it.
Yes, I mean, so I documented my transition on YouTube. I've had a lot of people seek me out to use as an example against me and against trans people. I was the subject of a book. So she had a whole chapter on influencers, and I was one of them that was mentioned as a trans YouTuber. The main idea was that trans guys are the victims of misogyny in society, so we think we can't be women, so we have to transition to men in order to be happy. And
It's
that
not true.
it comes in packs, like it comes in waves. If we have a trans friend, there's like some kind of social contagion element to it.
Like it
Not
is
true.
a religion to be converted to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you ever
it's
get
not true.
asked, you know, what if this is all just a phase?
All the time, online and in real
When I
life.
was a
In the
kid,
beginning,
I
a lot.
got,
A lot of people
yeah.
think they're just thought about it, like because of what's going on in the world.
Right.
like I said, I keep bringing this up, but like when I was a kid, my mom would try to defend that this is probably not a phase, but like everyone else was like, oh, this is a phase, she'll grow out of it, she'll like girl stuff, she'll like skirts again, don't worry. But like my mom probably knew like inside, like, but she never liked skirts, she never liked girl stuff. Like the only girly thing that she likes is drawing, and I don't think that's even considered girly, like, you know. But like, I don't know, that's just what, like, it's just like, yeah, it's just the tomboy thing. It's just like keep coming up to that, but it's like it's the biggest part of my thing. Like for a long time I thought like it's me, but like looking back at it, tomboy was an insult. Being considered a tomboy is an insult. Or tomgirl. If you're considered a tomgirl or tomboy, in my eyes that's an insult to who you are. I mean, it's just a whole thing.
Like maybe I watched Euphoria or like, you know, whatever it is, and like, oh, I was like, oh, maybe I'm trans. Like, no.
What about being in a relationship with someone who is so openly feminine and a woman? Is there any kind of backlash that you get for that?
There was a lot of really transphobic comments, 100%.
And what do you boil that down to?
I think those people are deep down so miserable. Because I'm like, literally, what is your life like that you're sitting at home trying to hurt people on the internet?
I mean, it comes from a place of wanting others to feel as bad about themselves as they do themselves. So there's really no reason that you would spend that time and energy caring about something that you have no connection to.
Yeah, exactly. I always say the same thing. There is absolutely no way that person is happy. So I feel bad for you because I am happy.
How do you feel about teens transition?
Like, I didn't transgender when I was a teen, obviously, but like, I wish I did. If I knew about this before I hit puberty, I think I'd be a whole different person. But, I don't know. I think it's because now I feel more comfortable of who I am. And back then I was just comfortable being a tomboy. I was just comfortable being a girl who likes stuff. I was comfortable being something that they want me to be. And now that I'm comfortable being who I am, it's like a whole different thing. So like, yeah, it's just a whole thing. And advice for kids who are feeling the same thing I am: talk to your parents about it first, talk to a doctor about it, a therapist, and just talk it out before you make any big changes. Because like I said, if you're going from female to male, that's a permanent change. You know, you're taking testosterone, you're changing your physical body at that moment, and it's a lot for some kids. So I don't blame them for doing what I'm doing and waiting until I am very ready to change my body. But like, I know that some kids knew as soon as they were 10 that they're a boy, and then they changed then before even puberty starts. So I don't know. I feel like it depends on who you are as a person. It depends on who you are and how you feel about yourself. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I transitioned as a teen,
Oh,
so I'm a little biased.
I think that answers that question.
I think that there is a ton of conversation being held about the way that they phrase it is kids having surgeries and going on hormones, which just doesn't happen. You know, if you have a trans kid who's like 11 or 12, the process is difficult. I mean, for me, when I started therapy, he had to make sure that I had been out as a trans guy and had been living as a guy for almost a year before I started. And then after that, it was a referral to, you know, a hormone specialist. And even that's a process.
Teenagers, no matter what we're talking about, have a lot of growth and phases to do. So I think anything that's super, super permanent could possibly be not the best for like a very young teenager. Obviously tread carefully, but at the same time, we're literally losing kids to this, to not being able to transition and to not express themselves how they want to. So I do think there's ways for them to do that and kind of do it in maybe what I guess you could call baby steps.
What about detransitioning? We hear a lot about detransitioners.
The thing about detransitioners is that, and I think it's really blown out of proportion, unfortunately, the most common reason that a person detransitions is because their environment socially is unaccepting and they can't continue to live as a trans person. They have to go back into the closet in order to be accepted, in order to keep their jobs or keep their housing or whatever it is, keep a relationship with their family. Their life is so much worse, not because of how they feel about themselves, but because of how people are treating them for being trans.
If you could give a message to your younger self, any advice or anything to you before you fully grasp the fact that you are trans, is there anything that you'd want to say?
You are not a tomboy. That is an insult. Just know that right here, right now. You are not a tomboy. You are a beautiful baby boy. Go tell mom that you're a boy and you want to start transitioning, because you and I both know well enough that you feel it. I felt it and I'm regretting it, and now I'm doing it way too late. So Maddie, in the past, it's never too late to be who you are. Play with that Spider-Man, play with the toys, play with monster trucks. Go join the fucking baseball team. Go be yourself. Don't worry what anyone has to say about you. I love you.
It's not weird
It's
that
not
you're a
weird.
girl wanting a mustache. You're weird for other reasons, but not for that. You have parents that are supportive, and life is gonna be okay, and it's not as scary as you think.
What is it about being trans that brings you the most joy?
Honestly, this is gonna sound so cheesy, but it's just the community. No matter where you are on the acronym, you have a lot of similar feelings, and it's just such an easy thing to meet a queer person and just connect. It's just like you can go around a queer person and it's like you've always known them.
I spent a day with trans men, and one thing that really sits with me is how being taught to suppress something that we so strongly link with our identity can also cause us to suppress the amount of joy that we're capable of experiencing. In order to enjoy life to its fullest, we may need to take a step back and determine which of the beliefs that we have are our own and which were forced upon us. You've so deeply embraced your place within the queer community that you now have a podcast as well, right?
Yes, so I have a podcast coming out. It's called Questicles. It is a chaotic queer D&D podcast. Questicles, you heard it right.
Questicles. Okay, I'm trying to think about the
Questicles.
quest to gain testicles.
Well, it's almost like Chronicles and Questicles, so I don't know where your mind is going. I don't know, that's weird. Do you think other people will make that mistake?
Oh, let's talk about manhood.
That's true.
Alright. So that was my reaction and basically my life as a trans man. If any of you have any questions about me or how I'm going through my transition, drop it in the comments below. if you like this video at all. It was just me pouring my heart out about what I am to you, and you like it for some weird reason, give it a like. If you dislike it, so be it. This is a video that I didn't think I had to do, but it was that he did trans women, and I knew he was gonna do trans men, so I wanted to do a video when he did trans men, and now he did. So I'm happy I made this video, and if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I will try to answer it as best I can, but like I said, I am not an expert. I am just a person that's going through this like everybody else, so I'll try to be, you know, as thoughtful as I can in the comments, but, you know, I'm just one guy. So this has been M to the A to the D-D-Y, he/him, sir. I'll see you guys next time.